Hello everyone, my name is Kamal Malik and this is a short introductory video of my upcoming training course, Integrated Field Development Planning, a Multidisciplinary Approach. So let me share my screen and show a few slides from this upcoming training course. The course is being offered in association with Petroleum Engineers Association. I would like to thank Nikhil Sharma and Petroleum Engineers Association for inviting me to conduct this training through their platform. I've developed this course over a number of years using the global best practices in field development planning, and I've been successfully conducting it for a few companies around the world. This course consists of 5 different modules, which will be covered in 5 different days. Module 1 is Introduction to Field Development Planning, where we will look at the various stages of field development, the role of the various disciplines in field development, and some of the key decisions required in field development planning. Module 2 is Hydrocarbon Resource Assessment, where we will look at the volumetric and the material balance methodologies for resource in place determination, and the reserves and resource characterization according to SPEPRMS. Module 3 is Gas Reservoirs Development Planning, where we will look at the categorization of natural gas reservoirs, the liquids-rich behavior of natural gas reservoirs, and the reservoir management and development planning of gas reservoirs. Module 4 is Oil Reservoirs Development Planning, where we will look at the categorization of oil reservoirs, their reservoir management and development planning, and some of the basics of enhanced oil recovery. And finally, in Module 5, we will bring it all together in economic analysis and decision modeling, looking at project ranking, the various economic indicators, and decision tree analysis. So what is integrated field development planning? Oil and gas field development planning is a complex task. It involves various uncertainties and unknowns. And these uncertainties and unknowns in development planning are related to the full spectrum of oil and gas field development from subsurface to commercial considerations. Integrated field development planning requires the coming together of all the disciplines in an oil company to address and quantify some of these uncertainties. Data acquisition planning, knowledge sharing, and smooth flow of information is critical across the various disciplines to have a quote-unquote good field development plan. It's important to note that management relies on the technical disciplines to keep them informed of the various uncertainties and issues in field development planning so that they can negotiate the best deal for the company from the various stakeholders, such as the regulatory authorities, the financial markets, the joint venture partners, and the internal corporate board and management. There are 5 different stages of field development planning. A typical oil or gas field goes from prospect to discovery to appraisal to development and production. As part of this course, we will look at each individual stage in more detail and some of the key uncertainties and decisions that must be made in each individual stage. A key milestone in the development of an oil and gas field is what's called the final investment decision, or FID, at the end of the appraisal stage before the field can move into commercial development. Here's where the different stakeholders submit and have a final field development plan approved for onwards development. The slide also shows the level of capital investment that you can expect in an oil and gas field development, being low in the prospect stage and the highest at the appraisal and development stages. Here are some of the key uncertainties and decisions involved in field development planning. I've broken them down into reservoir and fluid characterization, resource in place, hydrocarbon recovery, development strategy, production facilities, and economics and commercial. I've also highlighted some of the most critical ones in the dark green boxes. These would be the volumes of oil and gas present in the reservoir, or how big is the tank, or what is the size of the prize. Then another key uncertainty is the recovery factor, or how much oil and gas can we expect to recover. One of the key decisions in development strategy and production facilities is how many wells and production surface processing facilities is required. That will define the capital investment required in the field development. And finally, what are the economic indicators of this development plan, namely the net present value and rate of return. As part of this course, we will look at each of these individual uncertainties in more detail and have discussion around them. Let's look at the type of gas reservoirs. Natural gas reservoirs normally encountered in nature are divided into three broad categories: the dry gas reservoirs, wet gas reservoirs, or retrograde condensate or liquids-rich gas reservoirs. The classification is dependent upon their initial pressure, temperature, and the PVT properties, and mainly in the amount of liquids or condensate that they produce at the surface. In Module 3 of natural gas reservoirs, we will look at each of these gas reservoirs in more detail, their development plan, and reservoir management challenges and issues. Here's a look at the type of oil reservoirs. Oil reservoirs are classified according to three broad categories. They're classified according to their density as volatile, black, or heavy oil. They're classified according to their bubble point pressure as undersaturated or saturated oil reservoirs. And finally, they can be classified according to the drive mechanism as depletion drive, gas cap drive, water drive, or compaction drive. In Module 4 on types of oil reservoirs, we're going to look at all of these different types of oil reservoirs in more detail and look at their development plan and reservoir management issues and concerns from a holistic standpoint as part of this course. Finally, we need to bring all of it together in economic analysis and decision modeling. The development strategy of an oil and gas reservoir depends upon its reservoir, fluid, and production characteristics. In addition, the surface and commercial considerations, such as the processing facilities and the commodity pricing, have a major impact on the field development planning decisions. Economic analysis allows us to quantify the value of a development plan, such as its net present value, rate of return, payout period, and compare the various development strategies that you may be considering against each other. This way, the development plan that is the most financially beneficial and value adding for the company can be selected, approved, and moved forward with. Here's an example of a project cash flow analysis of a typical gas field development. This gas field is producing at a plateau rate of 200 million standard cubic feet per day for about 7 years before declining. In year number 0, you can see the level of capital investment required for this field development in terms of drilling, pipelines, and processing plant cost. I'm also showing the sales revenue in brown and the cash flow in light brown. The operating expenditure or total OPEX is shown in light blue. And finally, the discounted cash flow analysis in dark blue solid line is also shown in the chart. It seems like this gas field development has a cumulative discounted cash flow of about $1.2 billion. In Module 5 in economic analysis, we will look at creating a project cash flow analysis in more detail, evaluating its economic parameters, and comparing different projects against each other in decision analysis. So I hope you've enjoyed this short introductory video. I hope you can join me when this course is offered in the fall in association with Petroleum Engineers Association, and I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you very much. Have a great day.